Hey, welcome back to our Tuesday night live broadcast. My name is Carmen, and if this is your first time joining us, welcome. If you are here with us, all the videos, welcome. And whether you're watching live or the recording, it's so great to have you. Hopefully you find some value in this video and you go check out some of our other videos. We do upload 4 times a week here on the channel, where we're bringing you weight loss tips, health tips, cooking tips, with some other things sprinkled in. Anyway, so tonight we are going to be talking about being selfish isn't selfish. That making time for you is not only vitally important, did I say vitally important? That's a way of saying really important. And most of us live in this space where we don't make ourselves a priority. We don't make time for ourselves. In fact, most of us are so busy adulting that we do for this person, we do for that person, we do, and we give so much of ourselves that we forget to make ourselves a priority, and we forget to give to ourselves. So before we dive into the content tonight, if you have not hit the subscribe button, make sure to hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and smash the like button. Doesn't it just sound better when you say smash the like button versus hit the like button? I don't know. Some days I feel like smashing something. So you can smash the like button. It helps out the YouTube algorithm, helps our message reach more people. Look, bottom line, I do what I do. My chosen profession is a health coach. And I do what I do because I'm passionate about helping people cross over from where they're at, which is stuck. More than 70% of our nation, our country, and countries all around the world are overweight and they don't want to be. And I know what it's like to live in that space. I know what it's like to live in a spot where you have no energy, where you have no confidence, where you go to the beach in a cover up and you never take the cover up off, even though you're at the beach and you have a bathing suit on underneath because you're self-conscious of what you look like. I know what it's like to be in a place where, you know, I want to be intimate with my husband and I want to be sexy for him, but I don't feel sexy. So even though I want to be adventurous and have the light on, I don't want the light on because I'm self-conscious of him seeing me. I know what it's like to live in that space. Over 6 years ago, topping the scale at 288 pounds, being a weight loss failure. What does that mean? I had tried every fad, every diet, every detox, every whatever you can think of known to man. Sure, I lost weight with some of them, but at the end of the day, I still wound up morbidly obese, topping the scale at 288 freaking pounds, busting out of a size 22, unhappy and unhealthy in every single way imaginable. And I was one of those people that used to use the excuse of, I'm too busy. I like to work out. Like I don't have time to work out. Come on. At that time, I had a newborn and a 15-month-old. We had several businesses that we owned and operated. So to find time to go to the gym and actually work out wasn't going to happen. That's what I said. To meal plan? I mean, come on, Carmen. Meal plan? You want me to sit down and actually figure out what I'm going to feed this family for the week? I don't have time for all that. I'll just go to the store. I'll wing it. I'll do it on the fly. And I don't have time really was the root of a lot of my excuses to why I stayed morbidly obese for so long. I was waiting for the sun I didn't know this is what I was waiting for, but I would always, have you ever said things like, I know that I have, you know what, next week's going to be totally better. When next week comes, then I'm going to start that workout. Then I'm going to start watching what I eat. You know what? Next month, everything's going to clear up. This project at work's going to go away. The kids are going to be back in school or out of school or whatever season you're in. Next month, that's the time, you know, September. Maybe I will, since it's September, maybe I'll wait till January. That sounds like a really good plan. I'll just get through the holidays, and then when January comes, or my birthday's this month, when my birthday passes, my birthday really is this month. When my birthday passes, then, because, you know, I got to have an epic celebration. So it's always, look, what I have learned about life, and I did this for a decade before I realized I was doing it. For a decade, I pushed I made excuses, which is what they were. I wouldn't have told you that at the time, but I always had really good, really legit reasons to why now wasn't a good time. If it was Wednesday, why would I start on a Wednesday? It makes sense to start on a Monday, so I'll just wait till Monday. You know, I always had a reason of why not to start now. I always had a reason of why later was better. And inevitably, without even knowing it, what I was expecting, without knowing that I was expecting it, was I was expecting the sun, the moon, and the stars all to line up perfectly for me to really take this weight loss thing seriously. And so what happened is I dabbled in weight loss for a very long time, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, half committed, half not, trying some of this with trying some of that, trying to be as cheap as possible, you know, constantly jumping from one thing to the other thing to the other thing, never really committing to anything in the process of that. And that really left me as a weight loss failure. It left me as somebody who had started to believe the lie that I was big boned. Somebody that started to believe that maybe just, you know, there were those people that were skinny. There were those people that were fit. There were those people that had more time than I had. You know, those people that get like 36 hours a day versus 24? The ones that don't exist, because we all get 24 hours a day and we all live on this planet called Earth, and we all have this thing that we do called adulting. And so here's the deal. And I had to have this have you ever had to have a heart-to-heart talk with yourself? Have you ever had to like look yourself in the mirror and like call yourself out on all of your excuses? Have you ever had to do that? I've totally had to do this several times in my life. Like, maybe you're not as full of BS as I am, but sometimes I can be pretty full of BS. And sometimes, like, I am really good at talking myself into things and talking myself out of things. I think a lot of us are, right? And I had really talked myself out of working out for a very long time. I had really talked myself into the fact that I was too busy and I didn't have enough time. And it wasn't until one day, you know, when I had heard all these trainings on make God the priority, then your spouse, then your kids, then work, then this. And what I had never heard all those years ago was that you have to be at the top of that list. I always had it, God, my husband, my kids, work, extended family, friends, yada, yada, yada. So I would follow that order, trying to be organized and efficient and, you know, honor my priorities. But I always got shoved way down here. And now that was my own doing. I put myself down there. And it was one day, honestly, I was in prayer. And this was like, I don't know, it was just after having our second baby. She was a tiny little baby. I was in the middle of the night. She had woke up. She was like a newborn, like a couple days old. And all of a sudden I got this, like, have you ever like had this epiphany? Or it's not like I heard the voice of God audibly, but it was like this voice inside of me saying, Carmen, if you want to take care of these kids, you've got to take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of anybody the way you can. Because I hadn't been taking care of myself. I topped the scale at 208 pounds. I had gestational diabetes with both those pregnancies. I was morbidly obese. I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't taking care of myself so that I could be on this planet for a very long time. There was something I used to hear my husband say, and he would say, Carmen, if you look around, and he wasn't ever doing this to weight shame me. He just would say this in general. I don't know if he was trying to drop a hint or not, but he would say things like, you know, you just don't see a lot of really heavy old people. You don't see a lot of 300-pound old people. You don't see a lot of 400-pound old people. You don't see any 500-pound old people. You don't see hardly any 250-pound old people. Most of the elderly people that you see in their 70s, 80s, and 90s have a healthy weight. Most of the people that are overweight die younger. And so it was that morning, I was sitting there with my brand new baby girl, where I had this epiphany of, I have to take care of myself. And if I don't take care of myself, how can I take care of anybody else? Because let me ask you, when you are running yourself thin and you are burning the candle at both ends, and you are running over here and then running over there, and you're doing for everybody else, but you're not pausing for a second to do anything for you, when you're making everybody else the priority, but you're not making yourself the priority, how long until you just want to say F you to everybody? How long until you just say, I'm done? Or how long before you get so frustrated that you're snapping at everybody? That's what I do. I do it, and then I just, wah! Nice, smile. That's me. All right. And my husband's always like, whoa, where's all this coming from? I'm like, what do you mean all this coming from? The past month. He's like, okay, fantastic. Oh my goodness. Anyway, back on task, back on track. And so it was that night. And I gotta be honest with you, when I first heard that voice inside of my head tell me that, I didn't know what that looked like. And it wasn't until a couple months later, it was a Tuesday night, I was sitting at the table flipping through a parenting magazine as a new mom, that's what you do. And I ran across this statistic that linked obesity in kids to parents. And I was that mom that said, look, I'm overweight, but my kids won't be. Yes, I'm overweight and I'm going to eat the cheesecake, but my kids, they're going to eat freaking carrots. And I not only said it, but I believed it. Like, I believed it with everything inside of me. And that night I read the statistic, and the statistic just broke me. The statistic said that kids with parents that are overweight were 200 to 400% more likely to be overweight, depending on if one or both parents were overweight. And at the time, I was morbidly obese. My husband was overweight. Our kids had a 400% shot of being overweight. This heavy burden that I had had my whole life, that had really shaken my identity, had shaken my confidence. It affected life in even ways I never thought that it did. I sat there and I did the ugly cry at my table that night, and I just said, all right. And I remember that voice inside of my head 2 months prior saying, Carmen, you've got to make yourself a priority. If you don't take care of yourself, how can you take care of anybody else? And as I was ugly crying on a Tuesday night, I made a decision that next day was going to be my, who knows, maybe my 100th day one. It was going to be my 100th, let's do this again. It was going to be my 100th pressing the reset button and saying, I don't care how many times I've failed. Failure is my past. I've got to get back up, get back in the batter's box. And that's the only shot I have at success being my future. And although that was 161 pounds ago, that was 20 sizes ago, going from a size 22 to a size 2 in 13 months, I can remember that night like it was yesterday. And even in the very beginning of coming down to the basement and working out, I had learned through business to set boundaries. And when I was focused on one task, to not be trying to focus on everything else. And so I can remember telling my husband and my toddler at the time, hey, when mommy's down here working out, and I would tell my husband, hey, when I'm down here working out, please don't ask me where the ketchup is. Please don't ask me if I've seen your glasses. Please don't ask me where so-and-so is. Because for these 30, 40 minutes that I'm down here, I am not available. Unless there is an arm torn off or there is an emergency, I'm not available. And I can remember the first time I said that to my husband and to my young son, I felt selfish. Like there was this thing inside of me saying, no, you shouldn't say that. Like they're your priority. Like if they need you, you got to help them. And then there was this other voice inside of me saying, that same voice months prior, if you don't take care of you, how can you take care of them? And so for the next 13 months, for an hour, for 30 to 60 minutes a day, I came down to my basement and I worked out, and I treated it as if it was my job. My husband would come down and he'd say, what you doing? I'd say, working. Psst. If it's not an emergency, I'll talk to you in 20 minutes. And my kids, my little boy, he would be in his room playing, or I would bring him down and he would sit and he would play. And even as my kids have grown up, if you rewind 6 years ago, that's when I started taking this foreign concept of being selfish isn't selfish, of making myself a priority, of what I do for me is important. Because if I am healthy and I am strong and I am fed emotionally, mentally, spiritually, then I can go out and feed others. I can go give to others. But if I am emotionally empty, if I am physically empty, if I am spiritually empty, what do I have to give to anybody else? I have emptiness. I have nothing good in my tank to go out and give to anybody else. And so it really evolved from there. It was taking, okay, first I'm gonna make sure that I'm taking care of physically. So it was making sure that I set aside time to work out, that 30 minutes a day, which, dude, 30 minutes a day is like a tiny percentage of your day. You have 23 and a half hours left if you're just investing 30 minutes a day. Then it was like, okay, what am I putting into my body? Am I putting in things into my body that are going to make me, like, that are fueling me, that are going to make me a really good mom? They're going to make me, and then crash and then, snip, snapping and whatever. We all know what that's like. How am I fueling my body? Am I fueling my body to operate at my peak performance? Or am I fueling my body crap? Which one? Well, for me, you don't wind up morbidly obese by fueling your body amazing things. It's just kind of how it goes. Spiritually, am I feeding myself spiritually so that I'm not spiritually empty? And then it was mentally. Am I feeding myself mentally so that I'm not mentally broken or bankrupt? If you're mentally, if you are financially bankrupt, you can't give anybody a loan. You're bankrupt. It's the same thing. You can't give anybody anything that you don't have. And so it was scheduling time in the week to listen to things, personal development, personal growth. 2 weekends in a row, I had listened to, last month, 2 weekends in a row, I had invested into myself listening to speakers, mentors at conferences, virtual conferences that I sat at home and I watched and I took notes. Why? Because it was making the investment into me so that I am full spiritually. I am full mentally. I am full physically. And I will tell you, during the greatest producing seasons in my life are the times that I have done this. And the seasons in my life where I'm just frazzled, I'm stressed, I don't want to talk to people, I'm short fused, I can't problem solve as well. Whenever I go through a season where I'm impatient or I'm snappy or whatever it is, when I go through a season where I'm just you ever go through a season where people just tick you off? They start telling you their problems and you're like, oh my gosh, seriously? You have no grace for people. You're just psht, talk to the hand because the face don't give a. Ever have those seasons? Whenever I've gone through seasons that weren't full of peace, that weren't full of joy, one of those things inside of me wasn't being fed. One of those things inside of me, I was not investing the time to make sure I was full. And when you're not full and you don't have anything to give, you can't give what you don't have. And so what I'm going to tell you is being selfish isn't selfish. You need to start making yourself a priority and keep making yourself a priority. Because if you want to be the best mom, the best wife, if you want to, have energy and a healthy body and lead by example, if you want to be a spiritual leader in your family, with your kids, with who you're with inside of your, if you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to grow a business and lead a people, if you volunteer inside of the church, if you lead people at all, and if you have kids, you lead people. If you have a family, you lead people. We all lead somebody. If you want to lead them, inspire them, encourage them, inspire them, that all takes your tank being full so that you can give. You can only give what you have. And if you don't have it, you can't give it. And this was a really, it was when I was trying to, when I always look forward to what I'm going to talk about over the next month, and I kind of plan it out. I try to look at what have been really important parts to me losing weight, to life, to succeeding, from especially in weight loss, right? Where this was the biggest area in my life where I struggled. Like even when I was succeeding in business, I just could not succeed at weight loss. Like I could succeed over here, but when it came to my health, like I could have this $1 million business, but then when it came to weight loss, it was like, or my health, nope, there I am rocking my size 22, was busting out of them, wearing Spanx under everything. Like no matter how much success I had over there, I couldn't get a handle on my weight. And so when I finally did, when I finally crossed over from failing to wildly succeeding beyond my wildest dreams, and try to look at what are some of the things, the key things that helped me go from a size 22 to a size 2? And what have been some of the things that have helped me maintain it? Because losing is only half the battle. If you lose it and then go gain it all back, what was it all for? And so hopefully this resonated with you tonight. And hopefully some of you can sit there and say, I'm not making myself a priority. I'm not pouring into me. And I'm trying to write checks out of a bank account that doesn't have anything in it. And the checks are bouncing. And now you know why. It took me a very long time to realize this. But when I realized it and I started saying, okay, it's Carmen, I'm at the top of the list. Because even the times where I'm not fed, I don't plug in, I don't spend the same amount of time with God. I don't read my Bible the same. But when I make myself the priority, everything else, it's easy to spend time with God. It's easy to read my Bible. It's easy to honor, respect, edify my husband. It's easy. I have more grace and patience with my kids. Never to say there's not a hard moment, but everything comes 10 times easier when I have myself, when I'm making sure I am fed in all of those areas. And so anyway, make sure to give the video, smash the thumbs up button. I heard another guy say that on a YouTube video and I was just like, yeah, like when he said it, it made me want to like hit the thumbs up button. It made me want to click the subscribe channel or hit the subscribe button to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out some of our other videos and we